Desperate little girl begs for medicine, insults followed by a millionaire's shocking offer. The bustling streets of Oakwood Park carried the usual sounds of a sleepy Sunday morning, but beneath the surface, something extraordinary was brewing. A little girl with tangled hair, wearing a faded yellow dress 2 sizes too big, stood on the corner of Elm and Oak. Her eyes, wide and desperate, darted around, searching for anyone who could save her. The chill of the autumn air wrapped around her, but her heart felt even colder as she clutched a crumpled piece of paper, its edges stained with tears. "Please, I just need my medicine," she pleaded, voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination. But the world around her was indifferent. A man in a suit, sunglasses perched on his nose, walked by, sneering as he whispered to his wife, "What a little brat, begging for handouts." It stung. The girl's cheeks flushed red, but she held her ground, shaking her head defiantly. Beside her, a group of teenagers snickered, sharing jokes she couldn't understand, turning her pain into their entertainment. In the midst of laughter, one shouted, "Maybe if you just asked nicely." The words hung in the air like a cruel cloud, suffocating her spirit. Just when her heart sank deepest, a rumble vibrated through the ground. A sleek black car pulled up, the kind that screamed wealth and mystery. The door swung open, revealing a tall figure clad in a sharp suit, face partially shadowed but radiating an unexplainable intensity. The air thickened as he stepped out, confidence painting his every move. "How much for a heart?" he asked, his tone strangely calm amidst the chaos, a twisted grin creeping across his lips. Every eye turned to him, as if time had slowed down. Anger, curiosity, astonishment, all responses flickered in the crowd. What in the world did that mean? As the crowd murmured, the little girl instinctively took a step back. She could feel their judgment, their eyes boring into her, as though she was the spectacle beneath a microscope. Did they see her as a begging child, or merely an afterthought in their lives? Was there hope in his words, or was it yet another cruel twist of fate? "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The millionaire's gaze fell on the girl, piercing through the confusion. Her heart raced. Was he really offering help, or was this just another play for laughs? His smile sent a shiver down her spine, yet somehow, something in his eyes promised salvation. Could he actually fix this nightmare? Or would he leave her in pieces, her hope crushed underfoot while the world moved on as if nothing had happened? As she gathered her courage to answer, the silence around her thickened, heavy with anticipation. The moment felt electric, the air crackling with possibilities. But what would she say? Would it reveal her vulnerability or sister she never knew she had? The crowd held its breath, waiting for the words that could change everything. The tension was palpable as the girl looked up into the stranger's piercing eyes. She could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze, their murmurs swirling around her like a tempest. Every heartbeat reverberated in her ears. I just need my medicine," she stammered, a quiver in her voice. Would he take her seriously, or was he just playing the villain in her story? The millionaire didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped closer, invading her personal space yet somehow radiating a sense of intrigue. "For a heart, there may be more than just currency involved," he said cryptically. His voice was smooth, like silk brushing against her fragile spirit, leaving her both captivated and terrified. The crowd shifted, whispers intensifying with suspicion. Who was this man? And why did his strange words feel both dark and promising at once? "It's just a little girl who needs help," someone finally muttered from the back, breaking through the collective hold of confusion. The words dampened the atmosphere, creating a momentary crack in the millionaire's confident facade. He glanced over his shoulder, but quickly turned back to the girl, the smile never leaving his lips. "Let us make a deal then," he proposed, leaning forward slightly. "What if I provide you with what you need, but in return, you spill your deepest secret? Nothing too dangerous, just the heart of your story. Who knows, it may inspire me." The girl's pulse quickened. This felt wrong. A part of her screamed to refuse, to turn away from this dark offer that echoed of manipulation. But what choice did she have? The thought of another day without medicine suffocated her. She had to think. "What do you want to know?" she whispered, the frost in her voice a testament to her guarded heart. "Just the truth," he replied, cocking his head like a curious snake. "Tell me why it is so vital that you risk everything for one drop of medicine. What does this mean for you?" With the crowd's attention shifting between them, her breath hitched. She saw their faces, some lost in pity, others in judgment. It all felt overwhelming, like being thrown into the center of a storm. Still, something simmered in her chest, an ember of rebellion ignited by this man's twisted offer. "It isn't just medicine, it's life," she found herself saying, her voice rising. "It's my little brother. He is sick. He can't breathe without it." Gasps echoed through the crowd, their expressions morphing into something more vulnerable. Suddenly, the $1 million deal no longer seemed like just a game. This was real, raw pain shared among strangers. The millionaire's gaze shifted, showing a hint of surprise, as if he hadn't anticipated this kind of revelation. "I didn't know," he murmured, the sinister edge to his tone softening. For a fleeting moment, the power dynamic shifted. But before anyone could digest the gravity of her words, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder with every passing second. The girl's heart sank, fear washing over her. "They're coming. They'll take me away," she exclaimed, panic creeping back. In that instant, the millionaire's face transformed, shadows creeping back into his smirk. "Then we must hurry. The deal is on the table, little girl. Will you gamble everything to save your brother?" A choice hung in the air, heavy with implication. Each breath felt like a countdown as the sirens blared closer. Would she take the plunge, trusting a man with a crooked smile as her first glimmer of hope? Or was it a dive into darkness that would seal her fate, her brother's fate? The question lingered, thickening the air into a veil of uncertainty, as the millionaire extended his hand. What would she choose? The girl hesitated, her heart racing as she met his steady gaze. The sirens wailed louder, punctuating the tension with every pulse of her anxiety. She looked over at the crowd, a sea of faces, some tight with judgment, others softened with concern. Did they sense the risk she was willing to take? Was she truly prepared to barter her secret for a glimmer of hope? The millionaire held his hand out, an invitation and a threat all at once. "Time is ticking, little girl," he urged, a hint of urgency lacing his tone. "Your brother needs you. What will you do?" Her breath hitched as she contemplated his proposition. The idea of spilling her heart's truth weighed heavily. Yet, seeing her brother's frail image flashed before her, the boy with sunken cheeks and a cough that rattled the walls, pushed her forward. "I'll tell you," she finally said, her voice steadier than she felt, with a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. He pulled her closer. "Speak," he commanded softly, yet his presence filled her mind with unease. "My brother, he is not just sick. We lost our parents last year accident," they said. "Since then, it's been just me and him. I work 2 jobs to keep us afloat, but it's never enough. The medicine is expensive. If I don't get it, he can't live. I risk everything for him," she blurted out, the words tumbling from her lips like a waterfall of pain and desperation. His smile widened, revealing something inscrutable beneath. "There it is," he said, almost gleeful. "Now, we see the heart of the matter. But what is the secret that haunts you? There must be more." Her chest tightened. "I can't, don't run. Face it," he interrupted, his voice low and enticing. What are you afraid of losing if you tell? The crowd watched in silence, entranced by the theatrical display unfolding before them. Fear crawled into her throat, stifling the raw honesty used to save her brother. But it was true, every word. She was terrified of being vulnerable, of revealing how broken she felt inside. Would the world judge her further? Would they turn her fragile pain into gossip? Before she could process, the siren screamed closer, gathering momentum outside. She felt the weight of eyes digging into her, their expectations heavy. If I tell you, will you help? She pressed, a tremor slipping into her voice. Perhaps, he teased, tapping his fingers against his chin, but I need the whole truth. Think of your brother. What's the worst thing that could happen if your secret came out? The moment hung thick in the air, slicing through her resolve. The girl felt like a marionette on strings, the crowd's anticipation a force pulling her down. My name is Lila, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. And I'm afraid. Afraid I won't be enough for him, that I'll fail him like everyone else. The crowd shifted, murmurs growing like gathering storm clouds. Pity replaced judgment, but the millionaire's smile hardened. Interesting, he said, sharpening his gaze. Your fear is a weakness, Lila. But it can also be an asset. Embrace it. She shook her head, confusion racing through her mind. How can fear be an asset? She questioned, her voice full of uncertainty. Fear drives the best decisions. It leads to desperation, a very powerful tool. He leaned in closer, shadows pooling around his eyes. So, what will it be? Are you willing to embrace that fear for a chance at saving your brother? Every ounce of her being screamed to run, to dismiss this sinister stranger. But the sirens blared right outside, drawing near and nearer. Time slipped away like grains in an hourglass. Could she truly trust him? With her heart pounding, Lila's mind raced as she weighed the risk. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the street, sending the crowd into a frenzy. The millionaire's smirk faded, replaced with unmasked alertness. Looks like our time is up, he said, glancing toward the chaos outside. You have to decide now. Are you in, or out? As the sirens screeched to a halt, she realized they might not just take her away. They could also take her brother. The stakes were rising, and Lila knew she had to make a choice. Before it was too late. Would she risk it all, or would she let fear bind her? In that instant, everything shifted, setting the stage for a revelation no one could foresee. Lila's heart raced like a runaway train, each beat echoing the turmoil spiraling within her. The chaos on the street roared to life, punctuated by shouts and the sound of footsteps. Panic sliced through the crowd, pushing whispers into a low murmur that felt alive, vibrating with fear. The millionaire's face hardened, his eyes narrowing with intent. What's your decision, Lila? He pressed, his voice smooth yet laced with a chilling urgency. Time waits for no one. She felt the weight of his words. Her brother's shadow hung heavy in her mind. Every moment pressed against her. Did she really have a choice? A glimpse of the life they could share flickered in her thoughts, but would this man be the key, or would he unlock a nightmare? What can you offer? She asked, her voice trembling but insistent. The desperation in her question hung in the air like smoke, leaving her vulnerable beneath the millionaire's gaze. More than you can imagine, he replied, a satisfied glint flashing in his eyes. In exchange for your secret, I can ensure your brother receives the treatment he needs. Enough medicine to last him a lifetime. A chance at life that you never thought possible. Lila hesitated. Was it too good to be true? What was the price she would pay for her brother's health? The crowd surged forward, straining to hear what would unfold, every heart racing with anticipation and judgment. You think I'd sell my soul? She challenged, wariness coloring her words. Yet, there was a flicker of hope that danced in her chest. Sell? No, he smirked, leaning closer, but you'd be gambling everything. He paused, letting his words sink in. Fear is a dangerous thing, Lila. In your case, it thrives on sinking your dreams beneath the tide of despair. Use it to your advantage. The sirens had ceased, replaced by an eerie quiet, as if the world paused to listen. Faces shifted in the crowd, some showing concern, others repulsion. Every gaze weighed on her like an anchor, pulling her deeper into uncertainty. "What do you want to know?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, hanging on the precipice, teetering on surrender. He straightened, eyes gleaming with the thrill of control. "What truly haunts you, Lila? What is the one thing you would never want anyone, especially your brother, to discover? That is the secret that will set you free." A lump formed in her throat. The truth curled within her, coiling tightly, a serpent ready to strike. "It doesn't matter if I tell, I'll lose him anyway. He'll see me as weak," she stammered, tears welling up, each one a testament to her fear, her shame. "Think about your brother," he urged, his voice dipping to a low, compelling tone. "What is your greatest fear? That he'll know you're not invincible? That you're just a scared little girl? Embrace that fear, Lila. You may find it's not what binds you, but what strengthens you." The tension lay thick as the crowd hung on her every word, their breaths seemingly trapped in the moments of stillness. What did she have left to lose? The thought of her brother's frail form flashed before her eyes. What if she could save him? What if letting go of her darkest truth was the only way to grasp a glimmer of light? Emboldened by the gravity of the choice at hand, Lila's heartbeat synced with the thumping chaos surrounding her. "I am afraid I'll never be enough," she admitted, her voice cracking. "I don't know how to fight for him anymore. I feel like I'm losing him." The crowd gasped, and the millionaire's expression softened momentarily, revealing a flicker of understanding. "Now we're getting somewhere," he said, a smug smile returning. "But remember, the truth sets you free, Lila. The moment you let it out, you also gain power." Just then, a flash of red and blue lights crested over the gathering, a swarm of officers bursting through the chaos toward the front line. Fear rippled through the crowd once more, panic reigniting. "Decide quickly, Lila." The millionaire pressed, urgency bleeding into his voice. "You can still claim your power. Or let it slip away." The officers moved with purpose now, and Lila understood everything hinged on her choice. The sirens fading felt like a countdown echoing in her mind. Would she break free from her chains or let fate decide her brother's future? "Are you in or out?" Before she could reply, her resolve began to crack, and the world around her faded into a blur. What would she choose in that fleeting moment? The stakes had never been higher, and the night was only just beginning. Lila's breath hitched, the world around her dimming as the question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. The millionaire's gaze bore into her, a calculating look smoldering beneath the surface. As sirens wailed closer, the urgency flared like a warning signal, spurring her into motion or perhaps into recklessness. "What do I do?" she thought frantically, her mind racing in circles. The faces in the crowd blurred, their whispers melding into one overwhelming rush. Would they judge her? Would they call her weak for choosing this gamble? But the image of her brother's fragile frame flickered in her mind like a broken light, reminding her what was most important. "Enough," she finally burst out, her voice trembling but rising above the roar around them. "If I tell you my truth, you must promise." "Promise what?" he interjected sharply, unfazed. "Promise you'll help him," she insisted, desperation threading her words. It was a fragile deal, a string of hope she'd never thought she'd have to barter with. "I'll tell you. But I need that promise in exchange." The millionaire's lips curled into a knowing smile. "You scratch my back, I scratch yours, right? Fair enough." She swallowed hard, the lump in her throat turning jagged. "I was never always." The words clawed at her heart, twisting painfully. "I made a mistake. A big one. One that ruined everything." The crowd leaned in, tangible energy pulsing through their ranks as curiosity peaked. Lila's pulse quickened, hammering in her chest like a caged bird. She caught glimpses of understanding, pity, and judgment reflected in those watching. Was she ready to expose herself like this? With a slight nod, she took a shaky breath. After our mother died, I was lost. She continued, the confession pouring out in an unsteady stream. I started taking care of my brother out of fear. I thought if I was strong for him, we'd be okay. But I wasn't. I messed up. I lost my job. A voice in the back of the crowd shouted, "Get to the point." A wave of shame flooded her, but the $1 million offer held her steady. I got involved with some bad people. Loans that were too high to climb out of, places I thought were safe. She felt the heat rise in her cheeks, the crowd's judgment wrapping around her like a vice. And now I owe more than just money. I owe favors. I am scared that if this gets out, they'll hurt us. Lila locked eyes with the millionaire, desperation spilling from her own as she offered him her deepest truth, her raw vulnerability. That's what haunts me. He stepped back, grinning as if she'd just handed him a treasure map. See? That wasn't so hard. And look what you've gained, your power's right there. The thrumming of footsteps drew closer. The officers, now almost at the front, scanned the crowd. A chill erupted down her spine, twisting her stomach into knots. What's it going to be, Lila? Secrets are currency, and I've just introduced you to a new economy. He leaned closer, whispering. This is your chance. You can use it or let them lock you away. Her mind raced. Could I trust him? Let's talk about this later, he urged, nodding subtly towards the approaching officers. You'll need me to secure what you want. As the officers shouted commands to disperse, Lila felt every heartbeat quicken. The air thickened with the tension, her future hinging on this one decision. Would she embrace the weight of her truth, or retreat into silence, allowing fear to imprison her once more? Lila, now. The millionaire prodded. Time unraveling spiraled into chaos. The choice loomed over her like a shadow, ready to swallow her whole. Would she claim her truth like a sword or let the darkness envelop her entirely? The moment felt suspended in air, a breath held in defiance of fate. And as their eyes locked, she realized this was only the beginning of a battle she didn't yet understand. What if this choice sent her spiraling down a path of no return? Lila's heart raced as she weighed her decisions, her breathing ragged. The millionaire's presence loomed like a shadow, every measured moment stretching thin. The officers stood mere feet away, raw authority radiating from them, relentless in their pursuit of justice or what they believed to be justice. Lila. This isn't the time to hesitate. The millionaire urged, his eyes boring into hers with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. With every second that ticked by, her options felt like slipping sand, eroding before her as fear gripped her throat. I can't, she stammered, her resolve wavering. I can't just trade my truth like that, not with someone like him. Everything comes with a price, he insisted, a shining promise glinting in his expression. You need protection, I can give you that. Without me, they won't just lock you away, Lila. They'll destroy everything you hold dear. The officers advanced, slicing through the crowd. Voices escalated, a mix of anger and confusion. Back away. Let us through. They bellowed, commanding respect. In that moment, Lila felt tears prick the corners of her eyes, but she wasn't about to give in to sobs. She owed it to her brother to fight. There was too much at stake. Help him, she finally murmured, the words tumbling from her lips, a desperate plea lost amid the turmoil. One last flicker of hope. You promise you'll help, if I tell you? I promise, he said, voice smooth as silk, yet underlined with a sharp undertone. Let's just make this exchange for protection happen, shall we? The officers grew closer, she could see their badges glinting like daggers. One officer, tall with an imposing presence, shouted again, Lila. We need you to step away from the crowd now. The sirens blared in the distance, growing louder, an unmistakable herald of impending doom. Her heart thundered, urging her to hurry, to act on instinct. "Fine." She spat out, her voice catching in a wild crescendo of vulnerability and rage. "I'll tell you." The crowd gasped, eyes flaring with surprise and curiosity. Time warped as she felt a weight lift and yet settled heavier onto her shoulders. She leveled her gaze at the millionaire, determination glinting through the fear. "I was at a low point," she began, stepping tentatively into her truth, "and I made choices for the wrong reasons, thinking no, hoping that keeping my brother my priority would somehow justify my actions. I did things in exchange for money. Dangerous things." The millionaire's expression changed slightly, a flash of intrigue sparked behind those calculating eyes. "What kind of things?" he prompted, his posture shifting as the crowd leaned in closer. "Things I wish I could forget," she whispered, swallowing her shame, a bare thread of power awakening within her. "But now I'm trapped. I've reached a point where the debts could cost lives. Not just mine." Suddenly, the officer intervened, shouting, "Step away from him, Lila. We need you." Her pulse thundered as she turned slightly, trapped between the officer's authority and the millionaire's cunning convince. They were like opposing magnets pulling her in different directions. "Please, Lila, don't say another word here," the millionaire hissed, his tone now laced with urgency. "Hold your secrets close. We could work this out, but now is not the time. So you want to just walk away?" She raised her brow, defiance burning. "After putting me in this position? Only if you want help. But if you don't use this moment, Lila, it will be your last." The officer's voice struck like lightning, making the ground feel unsteady. "We are not playing games here. You need protection from stop." Lila screamed, the words escaping like a shout from a wounded animal. The crowd gasped, eyes wide in shared disbelief. The tension was palpable, rippling as if the world held its breath. Silence fell for a heartbeat, a miracle in the chaos, before the murmurs picked up again, disbelief flooding the air. "What is happening?" a voice quivered in the back, but before Lila could respond, something whispered at the back of her mind, a fear that maybe, just maybe, she had stepped into a game more lethal than she had intended. "Let us make a plan," the millionaire said softly, sealing the tension between them. Time's running out. Would she be tethered to him, or would she untangle herself from this dangerous web of lies before it ensnared them both? As the noise of the crowd swelled around her, Lila felt the world tilt. She stood suspended between choices, each one feeling like a lead weight against her chest. The millionaire's eyes pierced through her, compelling and relentless, while the officer's presence loomed like a storm cloud ready to burst. "Make it quick, Lila," the millionaire urged, his voice barely above a whisper now. "They are on to us." Lila swallowed hard, her throat burning. This wasn't just a game. Her brother's life hung in the balance, and every second was a threat creeping closer. Memories swam in her mind, hazy recollections of poor decisions and unforgiving consequences. I was part of something bigger. Something dangerous, she confessed, her voice trembling as she fought to remain steady under the pressure. "Go on." His tone was calm, like he was relishing this dark confession, ready to mold it into something powerful. "Drugs, weapons smuggling," she blurted out, each word slicing through the air, raw and painful. Gasps cascaded through the crowd, eyes widening with horror and fascination. She felt exposed, a vulnerability that left her shivering, heartsick. "I thought I could control it, that I could keep my brother safe." The officer stepped forward, interrupting. "Lila, we have enough evidence to protect you. Just come with us. This man is no ally." "No." She shot back, frustration burning within her. "Do you really think they can protect me? They'll shove me into a cell, and those debts they'll still come from my brother." The words ignited a spark of panic in her chest. "They'll kill him if I don't pay, and the longer we stand here, the more danger he is in." And if you trust him, what then? The officer countered sharply. You'd rather gamble on this? He'll use you. Isn't that what everyone else has done? She snapped back, her voice quaking with rising anger. You don't know what's at stake. You don't understand. The millionaire shifted, tilting his head with a sly smile that made her skin crawl. She's right, you know. If the officers take her now, she loses every chance to save her brother. Wouldn't you agree, Lila? Yes. She exclaimed, the desperation pouring out before she could stop it. I don't want a life like this. I want out. I want to know my brother is okay. But I need protection, he nodded, like a gatekeeper to her salvation. I can give you that. Think wisely, Lila. You need me. You need a way out. A chill ran through her at the weight of his suggestion. Could she trust a man whose shadow cloaked deceit? This $1 million offer might as well be a knife poised to cut her deeper later. But the clock was ticking. Her brother didn't have time to spare. The sirens drew near, blaring, drowning out thoughts of right and wrong. If I say yes, what do I have to do? Simple enough, you keep the truth close for now, he replied smoothly, his confidence all-consuming. We'll orchestrate our next move. Orchestrate? She echoed, her heart pounding hard against her ribs, anxiety darting like a frenzy inside her. Orchestrate together, like a duet, for your brother's sake. He reached into his pocket, pulling out something small and shiny. First, let me show you I can be trusted. Before Lila could comprehend, the glitter of silver and gold caught her eye, a keychain that glinted under the fading sunlight, and in that glint, her heart raced with uncertainty. What were the odds this was her lifeline? A voice roared from behind, shattering the moment. Lila. We need you now. Time hung in the balance, and the crowd was shifting, nerves fraying as the officers pushed through the mass, closing in. She felt the heat of every gaze pooling over her like the weight of the world, all of it riding on her next decision. That a choice loomed ominously in her mind: protect her brother or plunge into the shadows with a man who held promises as dubious as the life she led. Lila, the millionaire coaxed, taking a step closer, the glint in his eyes pushing against her fear. Are you ready to make a pact? And with that, the ground beneath her felt like shifting sand. Could she really walk with him into the unknown? Was this the salvation she sought, or a deeper pit from which she could never climb out? As the officers closed in, the cacophony crescendoed. Would she take the plunge, or would she slip away into the night, forever haunted by her choices? The sirens wailed louder now, the shadows encroaching. Time was slipping, and the choice had to be made now. Lila's mind raced as she stared into the depths of the millionaire's gaze. Every instinct screamed at her to turn away, to run. Yet, the reality of her brother's peril made her feet feel like lead, rooted to the ground under an invisible weight. The cacophony of the crowd faded, replaced by the relentless pounding of her heart. They pushed through the throng, officers in dark uniforms, their faces drawn taut with urgency. Lila! Another voice shouted, cutting through the tension like a knife. You need to come with us now. The millionaire's smile didn't falter, but something dark flickered beneath. This is your last chance, he whispered. Stay with me, and you can save him. Otherwise, they'll force you into a life that can only end in despair. An internal battle waged within her. Could she trust him? The desperation in his voice felt strangely sincere, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being led down a dark alley with no visible escape. Choose. He snapped, still holding the keychain tantalizingly before her. You know what's at stake. You can either spend the rest of your life in a cell, consumed by guilt for your brother's fate, or you can step into a partnership that could give you both a new life, together. The crowd began to murmur, their tension boiling over. It was as if the whole world held its breath, waiting for her to decide. The officers were closing in, but so was the looming promise of escape that the millionaire dangled. Lila. The urgency in the officer's voice snapped her focus. There's no guarantee he'll keep you safe. We have resources, contacts. Trust us. She glanced back at the officers. True, they might offer protection, but there was also a lurking fear of being trapped. The rigid walls closing in. Jail cell bars would cut off any hope of saving her brother. What's it going to be, Lila? The millionaire's voice dripped with honey, but it felt laced with a poison she couldn't quite identify. You'll have to play the game. It's dirty, but it's the only way to win. The sirens drew ever closer, a shriek piercing the air, fraying her nerves further. She was running out of time, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. What do you want from me? She breathed, every word laced with hesitation. Just a small favor, he replied, the smile on his lips curling into something sinister. You'll be my eyes and ears on the inside. Keep your loyalties hidden, and those who threaten your brother will be eliminated. This is how we can ensure your safety. Lila's stomach churned. Eliminated? Was this truly the only way to protect her brother? Be part of a world she loathed? Each heartbeat felt like a countdown clock, teetering between right and wrong. She shot a glance over her shoulder, knowing the officers were just seconds away now, their determined footsteps growing louder. Make your choice, Lila. His voice was low, almost sultry, but the predatory gleam in his eyes left her uneasy. Finally, she made a decision. Adrenaline coursed through her. I'll do it, she said, her voice shaky but firm, knowing she was crossing an unseen boundary. The millionaire's smile grew wide, predatory. Excellent. Now we plan our next move. As the officers reached out, Lila slipped the keychain from the millionaire's fingers, a small token of faith or a chain binding her to her darkest fears. The moment her fingers grazed the cold metal, a shiver darted down her spine. Lila. The officer's voice boomed, panic rising. But Lila had already turned, her heart racing towards the unknown, drawn into the shadows by a man who promised safety yet thrived on chaos. What had she just unleashed? As she bolted into the night, the sirens wailed behind her, drowning in the rush of her decision. Would this pact be the key to survival or a darker descent into a world of crime that she may never escape from? Lila sprinted through the dark alleyways, her lungs burning, the taste of panic sharp on her tongue. The sirens still screamed in the distance, but the millionaire's presence felt like an echo in her mind, reverberating with every thought she struggled to contain. What had she just agreed to? Her feet moved instinctively, pounding against the pavement as she flicked a glance over her shoulder. She half expected to see flashing lights racing closer, but the shadows cocooned her now, hiding her from prying eyes. She clutched the keychain tightly, as if it were a lifeline in this storm of chaos. Each turn brought with it a new sense of dread, mingling with the thrill of her choice. It wasn't just her brother's life hanging in the balance anymore, it was also her own. A world she had dismissed as fantasy now loomed larger than life, full of danger, deception, and desires she'd never known. Lila. The voice from the darkness made her freeze in her tracks. It was familiar, reassuring. It was the officer who had been trying to save her. Her heartbeat thundered loudly in her ears. Lila, please. We need to get you out of here. The temptation to run toward him was overwhelming. But then she remembered the millionaire's eyes icy and calculating. She shook her head, her breath coming in rapid bursts. How could she trust anyone now? Would the officers even keep her brother safe? What if their resources weren't enough? Her instincts screamed caution. Lila, listen to me. They're not who you think they are. He was closer now, his hand reaching out. His expression was one of desperation mixed with urgency. I can help you. We have to go. In that split second, time slowed. She could feel the pull of hope and reason fighting against the weight of the dark bargain she had just made. But what if they harm him? She whispered, fear shrouding her voice. What if it's too late? Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the alley. Shadows shifted, and her heart nearly stopped, terrified of what would emerge next. A group of men appeared, clad in dark jackets, their features hidden by the night. They moved like hunters, circling the area, searching. "Lila, we don't have much time," the officer urged, desperation etching lines across his face. "I promise you, if you're with them, they'll use you as bait. Now come with me." Lila's eyes darted between the officer and the approaching figures. Adrenaline surged through her. In that heartbeat, she made a decision. She turned on her heel and sprinted deeper into the shadows, convinced that even if she were to face the dark underbelly offered by the millionaire, it might keep her brother alive. Small flashes of light flickered in the alleyway ahead, a nearby street beneath a flickering lamp. She had to reach it. Had to find a way to escape this nightmare she'd fallen into. Suddenly, she heard footsteps pounding after her. Her resolve hardened as she pushed herself to run faster. The taste of fear mixed with determination propelled her forward, but her mind was a whirlwind of questions. Trust the millionaire or trust the officer? "Lila, no." The officer shouted, his voice filled with panic. "You can't go with them. They'll destroy you." With every ounce of strength, Lila pressed on. She didn't look back. As she dashed through the trees, they seemed to close in behind her like a suffocating wall. The shadows whispered doubts in her ears, taunting her. "Will you survive, Lila? Or will you lose everything?" As she approached the street, her thoughts raced. Was she running towards freedom or directly into a trap? The streetlights pierced the darkness, offering a brief glimmer of hope before the shadows swallowed her whole again, and in that moment of uncertainty, she felt a shift in the air. Something was coming. An overwhelming dread loomed, more sinister than anything she had faced yet. The world felt unsteady beneath her feet. Would the deals she's made come back to haunt her? What awaited her beyond the next corner could change everything. She gritted her teeth. Lila had to know. As Lila burst into the light of the street, the blaring sirens faded into a dull roar behind her. The shimmering glow from the street lamps washed over her, though she felt no warmth, only the chilling grip of uncertainty. She turned left, squeezing her eyes shut momentarily, pondering where to go next. The weight of her decision to entrust her fate with the millionaire loomed heavily in her mind. Behind her, the shadows from the alley seemed to pulse in frustration, chasing her with the promise of chaos. A group of men in dark jackets had emerged, faces masked by hidden intentions. Lila's gut twisted. Would she find safety in this new allegiance, or danger that would swallow her brother whole? "You shouldn't have run." The familiar voice of the officer echoed in her head. A knot of guilt squeezed her heart. Lila took off down a side street, a desperate sprint fueled by fierce determination. Every footstep echoed a mantra in her mind: stay strong for him. Her brother needed her, and she wouldn't allow herself to become another lost cause. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She paused, instincts pushing her to silence it, but something drove her to check. It was a message from the millionaire: "Meet me at Miller's Park in 15 minutes, or your brother's fate is sealed." Her stomach dropped. It felt like a dagger twisting in her chest. Was this another one of his twisted games? Or the only option she had to keep her promise? In that moment, determination surged through her veins. "I'll do anything," she murmured aloud, knowing the choice was made. Lila glanced over her shoulder, heart racing. Shadows danced around the corner, figures fleeting in the waning light. She had to make it to the park. Thundering footsteps echoed her resolve as she bolted towards Miller's Park, dodging obstacles aplenty, each one a reminder of the life she fought so desperately for. Every step brought her closer to a confrontation she couldn't avoid. As she neared the park, the air felt electrified, heavy with expectation. She hesitated at the entrance, stealing a breath before stepping inside. The faint sounds of rustling leaves and the distant hum of traffic became a backdrop to the chaos within her. When she saw him, a silhouette leaning against an old oak tree, arms crossed, the characteristic smirk on his face, it filled her with both relief and dread. "You're late, Lila," he drawled, eyes glinting in the dim light. I was beginning to think you'd gotten cold feet. Cut the games. Just tell me what I have to do to save him. She snapped, heart pounding in her chest, adrenaline surging through her veins. The millionaire straightened, his expression shifting to something serious. There are factions on both sides, Lila. I can protect you, but you have to trust me. I don't have time for trust games. I just need the medicine. She blurted, desperation edging her tone. All right, he said, stepping closer, voice low and intent. I have a deal. You can secure the medicine as well as a way out for you and your brother. But you'll need to deliver information that exposes your former partners. If you don't do this, that brother of yours is at the mercy of those debts. Lila stared at him, shocked. You want me to betray my own? It's simple, you're safer if you're in control. If you don't make the play, they will come for you, he insisted, eyes steady, each word dripped with danger, igniting a spark of rebellion within her. And what if you're just playing me like a pawn? He cocked his head, the smirk fading slightly. That's the risk of life, Lila. Are you willing to embrace it for your brother? She felt torn. Could she really condemn those who had once entangled her in this life? But the thought of her brother suffering helplessly kept her anchored. What if I say no? She breathed, trembling but unyielding. Then you may lose your chance. They will find you, he warned, a chilling reminder of the dark world lurking just outside the glow of their conversation. She didn't need to think long. The reality of her brother's condition kicked fiercely against her fears. I'll do it, she said, voice steadier than she felt. But you better keep your promise. The millionaire's smile returned, this time intimate, as if he had toyed with her emotions, feeling her resolve ignite. Good. You'll find the power of your fear has led you right where you need to be. With that, the shadows that had threatened to overwhelm her suddenly morphed into possibilities, taking her deeper down the path of an uncertain future. A soft breeze whispered through the foliage, and a flicker of hope ignited within her. Would this gamble end in freedom or disaster? Would her brother be safe, or was she unleashing a storm that would cost them both dearly? Only time would tell as Lila readied herself for the fight of her life against her past, her fears, and the darkness enticing her to dance at its edge. As she turned to leave the park, resolve hardened within her. Lila was no longer just a desperate little girl. She was a warrior in her own right, ready to claw through the shadows for the hope she carried, ready to face the monster that lived both outside and within, and as the pieces began to fall into place, one thing was clear, the game was on point. One last glance back at the park showed her the chance she had taken. She wouldn't falter, not now, but first, she needed to ensure everyone including the millionaire understood her strength. It would be her fear that guided them all, but they would not own her destiny any longer. Lila took a deep breath, determined and unyielding. She would find a way to change the rules. Now, we reach the end, but your journey doesn't have to stop here. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will take you even deeper into unexpected worlds. Smash that like button now to help propel us through the algorithm. Your support means everything, and I need to hear from you. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about Lila's next moves. What do you think she'll face next? Finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how choices can reshape our destinies. Don't wait, show your support and let us keep this adventure going.